Continuing on with our current topic, we've been doing a bunch of situations out of this failed single leg position. The idea is that I tried diving in for a single leg, and he was able to scroll me out. We're just kind of landing in this sort of a position where both sides are trying to win the dominant position. And the idea is that you want to be able to score. So, because we're in this failed single leg position, we can't just turn into guard, because that means you're accepting that the takedown move worked and you give your opponent points. So if I'm here and he's pressuring into me, and I just turn into guard, I'm going to give him points by doing that. And the same is true for him. If I'm here and I'm pressuring into him and he just turns into guard, that counts as his takedown for me, because he's accepting that the takedown would have worked. And that's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to be the one who scores in this situation. So we've been doing a couple of specific situations here, how to take the guy down. I wanted to spend some time today going on a couple of chokes you can get out of this position as well. So now we're going to start some of the things you can do on the top side. So we're saying I'm here. And here we're going to assume I did what's called a down block, which is where my hand, turn a bit to the camera, which is where my hand is able to come in here on his face. Very important, I'm not shoving into his shoulder. I'm going into his face and turning away. This breaking his posture of his spine, and I can use that to free my leg. So from here, I'm taking my chin strap and using that to pull the head up, getting a nice high grip with the hand and shoving it over. And he's already ready to tap now. I've got a very tight guillotine here. From here, I can just basically pull him into half guard, and he taps right away. Yeah. Okay. He's literally crying. It looks like you have some on the other side too. Okay. Yeah, no. But a couple of points I want to point out here. Just because I'm seeing a lot of people doing this with their chokes, and it's just generally bad. And because there are a couple of things you get people to tap with in training, but if you're a comp, people aren't going to tap with stuff like that because they don't care if it hurts anymore. So basically, always remember the number one rule with any choke, take the leg, is that the answer, if it's not working, is never squeeze harder. So if I've got here, the key to making this choke work so well is getting this hand, really high. If you come over here, don't go in front of the camera though. Yeah, if you come over here, my hand, it's over his collarbone, over his shoulder. You should be able to see your own fingers when you're doing this. And then this hand, I'm actually not closing my hands, I'm just looping it in here so that if he tries to back away now, he takes me with him. So this is just a safety to keep him from backing out. The choke is actually almost one-handed, and I'm able to pinch my own hand between his shoulder and my chest. I swear I'm gonna let you go soon. So I'm actually like here, and from here, this does not take a lot to finish. I do not need to squeeze at all when I do this. So, yeah. I used zero muscle. I was not squeezing anything. The mechanics are so in place, he has to tap. And you can see he does not feel good. Okay? And that's what I was talking about before. A lot of people will have something where the mechanics are not quite in. Let's say I'm going to do it bad so you can hold it out longer. Let's say I have it here, my hand's down here. Now, if I just go into half guard, I'm not choking him actually. You can hold up with this for a while, right? Yeah. So that's not choking. And if the standard answer most people have is to try and squeeze harder. And the problem is, you probably could hold out for a while if I started squeezing, right?
Guess so.
Yeah, and that's going to make my arms tired, which means he just has to wait until I'm dead, and then he can try his escape, and then he has the advantage of not only did he escaped, and my arms are tired, and it's harder for me to keep fighting now. Okay? So I've seen so many people right now at comp, they'll be like having a rear naked choke. I'm not thinking of anyone specific here. And they'll be squeezing that rear naked choke for like a minute and a half. And if you're squeezing a rear naked for a minute and a half and the guy's not tapping, the choke is not in. And that means you need to let it go and either fix the choke or just go to something completely different, because otherwise you might wind up burning out your arm. The guy gets out of the choke and is able to get points on you and win the match, which did not happen to anyone I know at all. I'm not thinking of anyone specific with that, who might have won the match if he had just let go and transferred to mount, despite the fact that someone specifically told him not to hold chokes that aren't in.
Seems also not looking at him.
Yeah, so that's why I want to take some time to work on choke, but again, to work on this idea of a really mechanically clean choke, okay? You should not, if you're doing the guillotine like this, you should not need to squeeze at all, basically. So I'll show it one more time and then I'll let everybody practice. So again, coming in here, the first thing I need to do is free my leg. So I get my down block in, and I'm using this to push his face to the side, which is really weakening his grip and put all my weight into it. From here, I transfer to a chin strap, and I use that to pull and expose his neck. My head arm goes in deep, and then I just pass it over to the other side. Finally, lock in the underhook, well in this case an overhook. Switch to a half guard, and you'll start tapping very quickly. Okay? It looks like a simple choke, but if you're working on getting the mechanics in correctly, it's actually a lot harder than people think. So most people grab the guillotine like this and just start cranking on the neck, and that's a really inefficient guillotine. Okay? That one's looking pretty good, so we're going to go to the second variation of the guillotine. It's the one actually, we're doing these in the order of the way I like them and how powerful they are. So we just did what the standard sort of, I think Craig Jones calls this a high wrist guillotine because the wrist is very high on my body. We're going now to a variation called the Marcellotine, which is actually more powerful than the high wrist guillotine, but it's also harder to catch. So it's a bit of a trade-off. You get more power, but you get a harder entry. So, but the general situation is the same. So we're here. Again, I use the down block to get it out. Pull over the head. And here, what I'm going to do, instead of going for the overhook, I'm going to take my hand straight up, grab, come over here, and yeah, he's already ready to tap. So I'm not even pressing, and I'll let you go for a second. And I'm putting my, just bend over, sorry. And what I'm doing is, I'm taking a grip like this, okay? I've seen a lot of people do things like this, or try to do table grips. I find all of those just very uncomfortable. They're not grips I can hold for a long time just because my shoulder starts to pinch. It's hard on my wrists. What I do is I'll have my hand here, and this one I will take it so that the palm of my hand is facing my opponent's shoulder, and I grab like this. And I can hold this grip like this for a very long time. So this is a really easy grip to hold, and I'm placing my elbow on his back, which I think Chris can testify dramatically increases the amount of pressure on his throat, and it also helps align everything into that crushing down of the double carotid arteries. So just showing the entry one more time, I will go very gently as I can. I don't want you to go to sleep. So, okay, so again, same idea, but slow down block. Chin strap, transfer over to the other side and pull that head out. From here, I can literally just take my hand, go straight up. Now I have my grip, transfer over, and now I've got the palm heading towards the opponent. And from here again, I just sit into a half guard. Okay. Entry is basically the same. What I'm doing is I'm transferring my grips over. Again, I find this one's harder to get just because it's easy to get when you're demoing and when you're drilling it, but when your opponent's fighting, and trying to pull his head out at whatever cost he can. I find getting this one is harder. It's great when you get it though, because then it's all nice and tight and locked in. But again, normally he's trying to push on you and get his arm out. So this way I find easier to catch because you immediately get that block so he can't escape. But this way is stronger and you get to tap even more quickly. So it's a bit of a style question, I guess. So which one do you find personally easier to get? Okay, do you want to see it?
I think it's okay.
Okay, so any questions? Basically everything's the same, it's just instead of going for the overhook, I am catching my own hand and pointing my elbow down my opponent's back.
Und das ein bisschen anderen Winkel gefühlt.
You have to. There's no, if I'm not changing my body's alignment towards you, if I'm here, my elbow cannot, if I'm staying square with you, my elbow is only